Every headline you see is a smokescreen distracting from the atrocities you heard about yesterday. You are being gaslit by a system designed to keep you blind. Welcome to Political Malpractice. Open your eyes, see the frauds behind the curtain, dismantle the illusion.
And welcome back to Political Malpractice. It is I, Sasha, your hostess with the mostest, and we are back with a clean, smooth-faced Chris, our at Midwest Homo 77 on X.
Yes.
How
I changed my hair color too.
you did?
Yeah, it's no longer
What what
gray.
what are we doing?
Okay, so this was me getting rid of the last mark of my campaign. So
Oh,
I was told that having going natural and having my gray hair and all that type of stuff would look better. And I hated it because my whole life I've had black hair. I mean, ever since I was a kid. And then, I hadn't even seen myself fully gray because when it started going gray, I started dyeing it. So I had dyed it for years. So you're actually
right.
seeing, you're actually seeing me what I would have looked like maybe like, I don't know, 10 years ago, because that is the color. So I hated
I
the
dig it.
gray. I absolutely hated it, and it was kind of my last to the campaign.
I dig it. It looks very nice. You look
Thank
very
you.
handsome. I am sure Nathan is quite happy.
Yeah, he likes it, and he's a little jealous. He's like, "You look younger than me now."
Oh my goodness. So, talking about spouses, same sex
Yes.
spouses,
Yeah.
you had messaged me yesterday and asked me to put this South Carolina issue on the agenda. It's all right. So I went and I started Googling it. How about you give us a little breakdown? What is South Carolina looking to do now?
Yeah, so South Carolina, the reason that this caught my attention, I think another Republican-controlled legislature also did this. Maybe it was Idaho, if I remember correctly. But what they're doing is essentially petitioning the Supreme Court to take up Obergefell again. And for anyone in the audience who doesn't know what that is, that's the Supreme Court decision that allowed for same-sex marriage across the country, saying that, essentially saying that states couldn't ban that. So South Carolina is the latest Republican legislature to call upon the Supreme Court to revisit Obergefell and supposedly return marriage back to the states. Well, we all know that that's just a euphemism for the fact that we want to fuck over the queers, you know. So, and
Mm-hmm. Oh,
you
yeah.
know, and I've had a lot of discussions about this. A lot of people think that I've lost my mind because, they're like, "Oh my God, you're becoming so left wing," and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, no, my opinions haven't changed. What has changed though is my understanding when I started entertaining the notion of joining up with Republicans for, various political issues that I cared about was that if they ever seriously tried to touch same-sex marriage, they would lose me. And I kind of let they'd completely lose me. Like all those other
Right.
issues, political issues that I thought were important are completely secondary to this. And so, of course, people are like, "Oh, well, you're being selfish, Chris," and all this type of stuff. And I'm like, no, everyone else in the country looks out for themselves. I'm going to do the exact same thing too. All this other stuff can take a back seat. So yeah, they've lost me completely, 100% lost me because it's very clear from what I've seen in my state. Obviously, what we saw, like I said, I think it was Idaho. I kind of let that one go. And now we're seeing in South Carolina, there is an absolute effort by Republicans to try to overturn same-sex marriage in this country. And so it's beyond me why any gay person would be supporting a Republican at this point if you care about yourself.
Right. It so while you were talking, I was like, huh, what other states have tried this, right? Aside from Idaho, has anybody else tried this since Trump was inaugurated? 9 states have tried to do this.
Oh,
Idaho,
wow. I
Michigan,
didn't even know it was that
Montana.
high.
Yep. Idaho, Michigan, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, Missouri, Oklahoma, Tennessee, and Texas. Michigan is blue, isn't it?
Generally, it's considered blue, yeah.
So what the fuck are they thinking?
You know, I mean, it's what it kind of goes back to what I have been kind of saying all along, especially since I left my campaign, which is that really gay people don't have any friends. You know,
No,
uh, they really don't. So,
it
while Michigan surprises me, Missouri did not. It's funny though that as someone who is so caught up in Missouri politics, I did not even know anything about that. Man, they were really hush hush about that. How funny.
so here's the thing. It I'm assuming the majority of our viewers, because we're getting up there in clicks and subscriptions, which reminds me, guys, if you like our content, don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you get weekly notifications.
Oh my God, we're those
But
podcasters now.
we're those podcasters because our numbers are slowly climbing. I want to see them to keep climbing,
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and FYI, guys, we make no money from this. I have zero desire to make money from this. This is a hobby because I don't want to be that lawyer that wears the shirt that says the H in lawyer stands for hobbies. I need to firmly seat my hobbies before I take the bar and I start working as a lawyer. Um,
Right.
Back to what I was saying, I'm sure the majority of our voters are around our age. We all have seen the first Jurassic Park movie, at the very least. I'm hoping you have, right?
Oh, of course. Anything that's kind of
Okay.
sci-fi fantasy, I like that stuff.
So I
Star
think
Wars.
it was I think it was the raptor cage. And they were talking about the raptors, how they are systematically hitting various points in the fence to test it for weaknesses,
Mhm.
right? Republicans are doing this, and they have been doing this since about Nixon. They're systematically hitting various points in political fences to see where they can break through. They broke through when it came to women's rights, right? They broke through. Dobbs overturned Roe. Women are now dying because they're having miscarriages. Doctors don't know what to do as far as the state's law is concerned because it's so unclear. There have been, I want to say at last check, there have been over 200 prosecutions and investigations into women for murder charges, for miscarriages. Um, they made it through that hole, and they are attacking where they've made that hole. Now, ever since the campaign, they've been hitting various points in the LGBTQ community. They
Mhm.
came at us right after Dobbs to try and flip over Obergefell. But as far as the queer community, it stood solid. And now they're chipping away at the smaller sub communities within the gay community. They're
Mhm.
chipping away at trans rights. I think it's Idaho that passed the bathroom bill.
Yeah, and
It
Kansas just recently did it. Theirs kind of got overshadowed by the driver's license issue. Which full disclosure,
got it, got it.
I didn't necessarily oppose the driver's license thing. I do think the government documents should have your biological sex, not how you feel that day on it. But and I'm not
It
saying that every
okay, hold on.
transgen.
I have to call you out. I have to call you out on your bullshit because it's not how you feel that day.
No, I
What
understand that. I was actually getting ready to
regardless
clarify. I was getting ready to clarify.
Regardless of how you feel about a community and gender identity and gender expression, you can state your feelings about it, but still be careful because language is harmful. Language is more harmful than a bullet, you know? And you and I have talked offline about
Right.
this. And you have your views on the trans gender queer community. I have mine. They're both very firmly seated.
Hmm.
Our right to marriage is getting closer and closer to that ledge. As they push the trans community off the cliff and remove their rights, we're the next in line.
Oh, and I
Even if you
don't
don't agree with trans rights, you've got to protect them, if only to protect your own.
Okay, so let me be clear. I was making kind of like a flippant sort of joking remark, and then I was going to clarify that, I understand that for the vast majority of transgender people, it is not how they feel that day. I think that there's been a lot of people out there, especially the folks who call themselves non-binary and stuff, who kind of like shift back and forth and all this type of stuff, which is kind of confused, I think, the public. And that's really what I was kind of referring to, not really actual trans people. Um, so here's the thing. Yeah, I mean, we're going back to your point about them kind of like testing the system, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the thing is yeah, as far as the trans issue is concerned, I mean, my opinion has not changed when it comes to kids whatsoever. And actually, my opinion hasn't changed at all. I mean, it's actually been very consistent, which is that, if you're an adult and you want to do this, that is 100% your own business. I have stood that I have stood that ground. I have
Mm-hmm.
issues with gender theory for sure, but not the trans individuals. And but now we're also seeing where yeah, they're doing the thing that I agree with as far as kids are concerned, but now they're going after trans adults. Again, like I said, I do think that the driver's license thing, for various reasons, is important to have biological sex on there, not gender identity. But you know, the thing is otherwise the bathroom bills are pretty stupid, you know, ultimately. And I think that
Yeah.
I think that I've softened on that. I mean, I really don't care if a trans man comes into my restroom. It's not gonna fucking affect me in any sort of way, shape, or form, and anyway, so yeah, they've done that. But all along, though, I think what they've done, and they've done a really good job at this, of suckering some gay people into thinking that it was all about the transgender issue. And then, and really most of the gay people who were like me, they really only cared about the kid thing. The adult thing was never a big deal for them. But they cited us in thinking, oh, well, we're going to protect the kids. And by the way, we're going to get you little homos who, like me, were too stupid to see the bigger picture. We're going to suck you in on that. All the while in the background, we're going to be working against you too. And
Right.
because I became so involved in politics, I saw what was really going on there. But I think the average gay person on the right or the left doesn't realize how insidious this is. It is so much a part of
It
their ultimate plan.
so I know I'm going to hit you with a couple things that I didn't put on the agenda. I think maybe yesterday when you messaged me, my brain was not firing on all cylinders. And this morning, for whatever reason, it is. So I did, I looked into the South Carolina issue and they're trying to petition the Supreme Court. You mentioned Idaho. Google shows that there's those 9 states that I talked about. Um, they are digging the sand out from underneath our feet. And by that,
Yes.
I mean they are knocking out rights for the smaller sub communities underneath the queer community umbrella, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Ohio has made it illegal. Ohio has made it illegal to dress as something other than your sex. Criminal
You know,
punishment can be brought down.
okay.
So,
So
what
what
is
I was going to say, what's so funny about that is organizations like Gays Against Groomers, which I was a part of, full disclosure, organizations like Gays Against Groomers are kind of interesting because they always talk about like protecting the femboys and protecting the tomboys, all this type of stuff. I wa- I wish I was a fly on the wall in the room of Jamie Michelle's home, so I could hear what she is think. Because I've been in her house, the leader of Gays Against Groomers. I would
Mhm.
love to know what she thinks about that because you're not protecting the tomboys, you're not protecting the femboys
No,
at all because they
no,
might want to
no.
dress in clothes other than their gender.
So here's initially the bill itself is called the Indecent Exposure Modernization Act, and it passed in March. The Ohio House of Representatives passed it. So I think it probably still has another branch of legislature. Then it's got to be signed. There's all kinds of stuff that it's got to go through um, to become law. But the fact that the House of Representatives in Ohio has passed it is terrifying. The bill was initially meant to be aimed at drag performers and to
Mm,
make it illegal to do a drag performance, right? The law itself is so broadly written that someone like me, who for the most part, this is a men's t-shirt. I
sure.
bought this in a pack at Walmart in the men's section.
Hmm.
It's a men's small t-shirt. I wear these and I wear jeans and I wear Converse. Very rarely do I wear anything pink, purple, blue with flowers, right? My clothing for the most part is really kind of gender neutral. You know, it's clear that you would likely assume that I was born with a vagina because I have huge tits, I wear makeup, and I have long hair, right?
Right.
You
Sure.
would assume. But if someone in Ohio got pissed off that I wasn't being your picture perfect example of a woman and wearing a dress and high heels with full makeup and my hair fully done, they could call the police. If this law passes, what I wear on a daily basis could land me facing criminal charges. So we have this going on in Ohio. We have South Carolina, I think, prematurely testing the fences, right? We've got a few states that have passed their trans bathroom bans. I don't know. I have seen trans men. Mm, I don't really spend my day wondering if you've got
No.
a penis or a vagina. I don't give a shit.
Sure.
You know, I I'm not going to question somebody walking into the bathroom.
No.
And I have seen trans men every 100% bit a man. If I was gun to my head, if I had to guess if you had a penis or a vagina when you came out of your mother, I don't know, I'd guess penis. So who's going to be watching these bathrooms? What are we doing about our tomboys, whether
Right.
you're gender queer, whether you're a masked lesbian, or you're just a straight woman that prefers to have short hair, you like to wear jeans, and you happen to be naturally slim with small boobs.
Right. No, I mean, I totally see your point, Sasha. I mean, again, my opinions haven't really changed. I mean, it was all about the kids for me, and it was truly about the kids, and especially it was about protecting homosexual kids. I'm good friends with Buck Angel. I don't know if you're familiar with who that is, But
Yep.
yeah. And really that's all he's trying to do also is protect homosexuals. And I appreciate what he's doing. And Buck and I have talked before, and you know, I feel no threat whatsoever from a person like that. And anyway, I think that um, a lot of gay people have been coaxed into thinking that this is like some super threat, and it's all fueled by the right. And
Hmm.
they are getting gay people to attack this other smaller community. And again, I apologize for my flippant comment. It was really just a flippant comment. It was kind of more like just a cutesy little
I
joke.
know it's a flippant comment. I know it's a flippant comment. That being said, I think right now, and this is as gays being very selfish in this little segment. This is me as a gay woman who is married being very, very selfish and protective of my community. Whether or not you are a gay person who thinks that there is validity or not in the trans community and the non-binary community, in the genderqueer community, stop with that talk right now. Shut up. If you
Well,
care at all about your rights as a gay person, you will shelve that shit because they are using that to dig the sand out from under our
yeah,
feet and remove our rights.
yes,
You know,
absolutely. And that's where I was kind of going with that, Sasha, is that ultimately
yeah,
they're trying they have to a certain degree been successful of turning one part of the community against another part of the community. And so you'll notice even on my social media stuff, you know, I mean, if I see something that seems inspired by gender theory that I find to be homophobic, yeah, I'll call that out. But you'll notice I am starting to rarely talk about the transgender issue. I don't
right.
give a flying fuck at this point. I really just don't. And I learned my lesson. It's like, yeah, I have some issues with some of it. Not so much with the adults, but definitely with the kids. But I would definitely encourage gay people who were in the space that I was in, where you had almost borderline hate for the transgender community, reassess your values, reassess, how you want people to be treated, and also think about the fact that there is a bigger picture here. That
Hmm.
that and this is going out to the right wing gays here. They'll understand my terminology here. Guess what, guys? The TQ plus was right. They were. They're coming for us. We wanted to deny it. Mm-mm-mm. I saw it, but it took almost the problem for me, Sasha, is it took almost like a damn rock being hit over my head for me to actually see the light. But so
Right.
I know it's going to be hard to get some of these more so-called conservative gays to actually get on board with what you and I are talking about. But I hope that their hearts will soften and that they will realize that this is probably not the threat to them that they have been led to believe that it is. So, guys, move on. There's a bigger issue at stake here. We've got our marriage rights in their sights now. We need to come together as a community, and we really do. We need to come together as.
Exactly. I'm not too worried about South Carolina with this petition. We've got Texas and a couple of other states who are trying to and have put these trigger laws into their constitutions, into their books, right? That basically affirm marriage as between a man and a woman,
Mhm.
just in case they can get the Supreme Court to overturn Obergefell. The
Oh, sure.
states did the same shit. They did the same shit with a woman's right to abortion. They
Yes.
had trigger laws. And as soon as Dobbs passed, boom, that trigger was hit. And sorry, if you're having a miscarriage and your body is not properly expelling that fetal tissue, they happily let you die. They didn't give a shit. They were pleased as punch that you were able to die on the random off chance that somehow an 8-week fetus whose heart's still beating, even though half of your uterine lining was expelled, maybe it'll end up sticking anyway. You know, we saw what happened in Georgia with that lady that they basically kept her alive so that she could be a fucking incubator.
Yeah.
That baby, you know, while it might live, is most likely going to be a vegetable. They bitch and moan, and they being Republicans, bitch and moan about the cost of healthcare, about giving free healthcare. Good job, guys. You basically grew and hatched out of a dead body a baby that is going to need extensive healthcare for the rest of its life.
Right. Let
You know,
me
and that's what they're doing here.
let me relay something from my home state. Just point out to everybody how really evil and premeditated all of this is. So just like like you said, Sasha, about the trigger laws. Well, with same-sex marriage, there is a trigger law in Missouri as well. Go figure. And so we also had a trigger law for abortion. Well, so suddenly, when the Supreme Court overturned the abortion decision from the 1970s, abortion was completely illegal in the state of Missouri. Well, a petition, an initiative petition process was started where then the public could actually vote on it. Sasha, the state of Missouri, a pretty damn red state, voted, I think, almost like 70% to legalize abortion again. So now it's legal in the state of Missouri. Well, the Republicans got really smart about that. So guess what they're trying to do? They're trying to kill the initiative petition process in Missouri so that it's almost impossible for the public to ever vote on anything that will amend the constitution of the state. That's the exact same. I mean, that's the same playbook.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to do it again, just like that. So if you have an initiative petition process in your state, look look at what, and it's a Republican controlled state. Look at what they're doing, because I bet you anything that they are probably coming after that initiative petition process. They know what they're doing. They absolutely know. They
Absolutely.
do not care about people, fam. I mean, seriously,
Mm-mm.
they do not. They care about
It.
a very small sliver of the population.
They care about themselves. They
Yes.
care very much about themselves. They care about their power. They care about flexing that power against as many people as they can. They don't care. And this isn't just for Republicans. This is for Democrats as well. I am getting more and more angry with California.
Hmm.
Right now, Jesus fuck, there's like 6 to 9 Democrats that are running for California governor. And the way that California does it is we have what's called a jungle primary, right? There's no inner party narrowing down so that we just have, you know, one Democrat, one Republican, maybe one independent that are running for the governor's seat.
Hmm.
In a jungle primary, anybody can run from any party, as many people as that want to run, that qualify to be able to run, they run. And right now we have a very racist MAGA sheriff coming out of Riverside County, Chad Bianco, who is running. We have a very MAGA racist podcaster. The fuck does a podcaster know about being governor? right? And a small team of Democrats that are all running. Democrats are going to lose California if these selfish fucks don't self whittle. One or two Democrats. That's it. And you pick one Democrat if only one has enough polling strength to pull ahead of the two Republicans. Because if those two Republicans get the majority of the vote in the primary, guess what, California? When it comes time to vote for a governor, you've got the choice between one racist MAGA son of a bitch and another racist MAGA son of a bitch. You will not have a Democrat to choose from. Point blank, period. And I get that I was having this conversation with a classmate the other day. There is benefit to a jungle primary when people are not being selfish, right? It opens up everything. It kind of prevents this two-party system. But we have selfish Democrats who want the spotlight, who want center stage, who want power over a state with the fourth largest GDP in the world. That's what this is about. Those MAGA racist assholes that are running and our ignorant, self-absorbed group of Democrats that are running. They want power over California. They want California's money. Nobody gives a shit about the American people, about people in California, about people in Missouri. That's why
No.
these trigger laws are there. That's why they are fucking velociraptors hitting the fence, systematically checking where can they knock a hole and strip Americans of their rights. Meanwhile, they're going to keep raising your taxes and getting your money because they fucking can. There's my little
Yeah.
offshoot rant.
No, I agree with you, Sasha. So, I mean, ultimately, I mean, I just hope the audience takes away from this that, even if you had any leanings close to mine, um, set that shit aside for right now. Because they're coming
Mm-hmm.
after all of us, and we as an LGBT community can figure shit out later amongst ourselves, but we need to put up a united front.
Once we have our rights solidified, and really once we've cleaned house, we need to clean house in the American system. There's too
Sure.
many corrupt, selfish politicians. Clean house, prosecute on the Epstein files, prosecute on these war crimes that have been committed for the last month and a half now. Get everybody the fuck out of Washington, and let's try again. The American system needs to be ripped down and rebuilt. Now, moving from that to real quick, I just did want to talk about, can South Carolina manage to do this? No. You can petition the Supreme Court to revisit a lower court's decision. You can't have the Supreme Court revisit their own independently. The Supreme Court's already had that opportunity in Ermald v. Davis, and the Supreme Court went, nah, we're not going to touch this. There's a constitutional right to marriage. There's a constitutional right to choose who you're going to marry, right? If
Sure.
this Supreme Court is not willing to flip that over, no Supreme Court, no matter how we shuffle those justices, is going to be able to turn this over. So I think that our listeners just need to be aware. Your leadership is trying to do this. If you are gay, if you listen to us, because you have sided with them to remove rights from the least of our community, the smallest of our community, you've now given them the entry to try and remove rights from the entirety of our community. It's that simple. And you need to walk that back.
Yeah. And, I mean, it's a process. I've gone through it too. If you do still have certain concerns about gender theory and stuff like that and its influence on the LGBT community, sure. I mean, I understand it, but guys, set that shit aside right
It's not the time.
now. No, not really.
It is not the time. Now, all of that being said, we had a pretty volatile week in the market. Lots of war crimes were committed this week, starting with, or rather kind of peaking with Trump's Easter message, open the fucking strait. Yeah, because that speaks like world respect. We were able to get a ceasefire last night after Trump had threatened to annihilate an entire fucking population.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I
the rhetoric is insane. I know. I mean, I know the MAGA side well enough. I know what they're saying. They're going to be saying this was absolutely brilliant. He was able to eke out a ceasefire by using all this like terrible rhetoric and all that type of stuff. Okay, maybe there's some sort of truth to that, but for the ongoing success in Iran, as far as, what the United States would like to see happen, you're going to need some of the population there on your side. And if you suddenly talk about just destroying all of them, I think you're going to lose a lot of that population. Yeah. Call me
yeah,
crazy.
it here's where I look at MAGA and I wonder, how have you survived this long into adulthood? Like, was there someone actively preventing you from sticking a fork in a socket just to see what would happen? And if there was, I want to slap that person. Why did you prevent this? Let them stick the fork in the socket, because look at how stupid they are. They're doing these mental gymnastics saying, oh, Trump is so genius. He was able to get them to agree to a ceasefire. Look at how strong and tough he was. Guys, we could have had an end to this war that he started if we just stopped bombing.
Yeah.
It would have been done if he had just stopped bombing. He started it. He did this. Way back in his first term, we had a nuclear agreement. Iran wasn't making nuclear bombs. That treaty that Obama had them sign was fucking working. He went, he tore it up. We haven't been able to get another agreement similar to it since. He's tried, and he's a failed negotiator. This ceasefire happened because he knows he is losing. On the fantasy oil market, right? So there was a good breakdown that I've seen on social media that was kind of explaining, like, look, there's the projection market and then there's the real market when it comes to the price of oil. The projection market peaked at $119 a barrel. The real market peaked at $150 per physical barrel. So this projection market, that if you Google, how much is a barrel of oil since Trump started the war, that's the projection market. That's not the real cost of oil. You've got the real market that's about $30 higher.
Yeah.
Trump got scared. Gas is up over $1 a gallon average from when he first started. Food is up. Amazon's already adding surcharges to your deliveries because of the cost of all of this shit. And guess what? None of that is ever going to go back down. It's not. Amazon put a 3.5% surcharge. Everyone's happily paying because they want their shit next day delivery. Amazon will never drop that surcharge. They will find a way to hide it in something else to avoid a lawsuit. And that's just it. This war
Yeah.
did exactly what Trump wanted it to do. It made him a shit ton of money. It made his oil buddies, his billionaire buddies, a shit ton of money. That's all this presidency is about. How much money can he get from the American people for himself and his friends?
So I told you in a text message that I have kind of a theory about what this is all really about. Okay.
Shoot your theory.
So I back in previous episodes, I have said that from the American standpoint, this is all about oil. I didn't quite understand what exactly beyond, well, yeah, it's going to make some people rich and that sort of stuff. Well, Trump kind of gave away a little bit when he said on the White House lawn yesterday that or not yesterday, but Monday, he said that he would like to take all of Iran's oil, but and keep the war going for that purpose. So, like, beyond the supposed nuclear threat that they are.
Right.
So anyway, he's like, but the American people probably just won't understand that. So I probably won't do that. Okay, I'm a former politician, which means I also learned really well how to manipulate an audience. And I will tell you this, all he's doing is just introducing the thought right now and making it sound like it's something that he's not going to do. But eventually he's going to lay out a case as to why we need to go ahead and do that. And all his little sycophants are going to go ahead and go right along with it and be like, yeah, this is really an idea, blah, blah, blah. So we found out that China has been buying most of Iran's oil with these sanctions. This
Mm-hmm.
absolutely is about sticking it to China. Now, don't get me wrong, folks. I don't necessarily have a problem with that. But I think that we saw a little bit of a preview of what he really has in store when we saw what happened in Venezuela and then the turnaround with Cuba, where suddenly we controlled Cuba's main oil supply. I think that he was sending a message there. That's why he backed off. I don't think he had his sights really on Cuba. Ultimately, this is about sticking it to China. That's really what I think it is. And I think that will be the thing that we're eventually going to hear from him in order to sell the people on continuing this war beyond its supposed original objective. I don't know how I
I
feel about all of it, but I'm just saying that's my theory about what's really going
I absolutely agree. And I think that I take your theory and I walk it forward a few steps. So I had sent you a couple of videos that I
on.
watched about Richard Wolff talking. Really, really long videos. I don't like any kind of economics talk. I find it very dry and boring. I suggest you watch it on 2x speed so that you can get through it. Um, but Richard Wolff, it kind of nails it. You know, the US as an empire, as a regime, as a country has been on the decline ever since World War II. You know, our technology blossom going down. You know, China's kicking our ass left, right, and center on everything. Do you know that they have an electric car that makes the Tesla look like a fucking joke? And
Hmm.
we could buy that car for $30,000. 30 grand. It's got all the bells and whistles. It makes Tesla look like a joke. And this is on Biden. Because again, guys, going back to what I said earlier, nobody gives a shit about you. Nobody fucking cares. Biden put 100% fucking tariff on that car, that specific car, because it
Hmm.
comes from China, because it's better than ours. And the US kind of, we are now those folks that peaked in high school. We peaked in high school. Now we're beating up all the accounting nerds in the office because we don't want them to make us look bad. Instead of working collaboratively with other countries, if we worked collaboratively with China, so many things could be so much better in both fucking countries. But they're just not doing it. You know, it,
Hmm.
there are,
I don't know.
I have seen,
I mean, I don't know if China is someone you can really work with because I mean their government is just as corrupt, if not more corrupt than our own. Um, I don't know. That's why I said I don't know how I feel about it. It's like okay, if that is the ultimate objective, okay, fine. But he just comes across as like completely unhinged. And we as the
absolutely.
public really have no idea what his intentions are. And if he
Mm-mm.
would kind of lay out a little bit of a strategy for us to understand what he's trying to actually accomplish here, maybe more people would be supportive of what's going on. But he doesn't do that. I don't like this obfuscation. God, I can't say that word by the government. You know, I
No,
absolutely hate that where the government is blurring everything so the public doesn't know what's really going on. So I mean, interestingly enough, Richard Nixon is the one who basically allowed China to become the world power that it is today. Uh, but I just I don't feel comfortable with them being the world power that they are. I mean, they've done some really nasty shit to the Uyghurs, all that type of stuff. I don't know. I'm just uncomfortable with it. But I don't
it,
like the fact that we, as the people of the United States, have no idea what the fuck our government is really doing.
at this point, I have a problem with us having any world power. We are
Hmm,
buying warehouses at 2 and 3 times their value, right? A warehouse is valued at $29 million in Georgia. The US government just bought it for $120 million. You spent almost $100 million more for that warehouse than you had to,
right.
right? That much money was spent because, of course, buddies were involved in the purchase. And so we're having money shuffled around, getting money into people's pockets in deals like that. But we are doing that so that we can house anybody that doesn't have white skin. We're bad. We are the bad guys. We can no longer condemn any country for any genocide, for any mass murders, for any concentration camps. That's done. We can no longer go into a country and say, you're being bad to your people, slap them on the wrist, stick our military there to babysit. We can't do that. At this point, it would be very valid for Canada, because Canada hasn't done this shit. It would be very valid and justified for Canada to all of a sudden storm the US, plant their troops here to babysit, because our government cannot protect the people within its borders. We are now the bad guy.
Oh, I think that we've been the bad guy for a long time. I don't have any, expectation of goodness from the United States government.
It
So,
we've been the bully for a long time. We have strong armed and controlled other countries for a long time. The badness and the bad things that America did was hidden, was whitewashed, was quickly dropped on the nighttime news and moved on, right? There's no hiding the bad things that the current regime is doing. You just can't fucking hide it now. You've got
No.
international human rights organizations condemning this administration as human rights violators.
I haven't.
We've got,
No, of course, I have no doubt that they are. I mean, especially when you're talking about blowing up power plants and bridges and
uh-huh,
desalination plants. I mean, you're basically saying that you're willing to starve a whole population to death. And,
that you're willing to kill them.
I mean,
It
I don't care what the end game is as far as like sticking it to China, but if your route to do that is to severely harm a civilian population, fuck you. Fuck you. No.
right,
Find some other way to dick over China.
right. I agree. I agree. It the amount of war crimes that have been admitted to and committed in this war. I really hope that the international, criminal court or whatever that deals with this shit, I hope that they're getting together a means to actually grab this regime and hold them accountable. We, it I guess it's a bit of poetic justice. We were the ones that went to Germany. We started this. We wrote the international law insofar as it relates to human rights violations to punish Nazi Germany and
Right.
to hold their leaders accountable. It it's kind of like a Stephen King or an Edgar Allan Poe story. If they come back and they nab Trump, Hegseth, Rubio, Vance, Miller, grab them, drag them to the Hague, wherever that is, I think probably Germany, drag them there
The Hague.
and have
Yeah.
a trial.
Mm.
Have a trial.
Well, I mean,
That's poetic justice.
I I think that the only way that that's going to happen is if the United States government truly falls. And I don't see that happening anytime soon. So the reason Germany was able to be held accountable is because they lost a war and they were overthrown by the United States and
Right.
the Soviet Union. So it would take something to that level to truly hold Trump accountable on an international level is just my guess. I'm just trying to be realistic. I understand it'd be nice to see him just thrown in prison for the rest of his life. I totally get that. But I just don't see it as likely that anything along those lines is actually going to happen. The United
So,
States may be in a period of decline, but in the dick measuring contest, I think that we still measure it pretty well against everyone else.
um, I I don't know. I think that this is shown that in a dick measuring contest, I think the US has been pushing the fat back to make it look bigger this whole fucking time.
You did it
We've
again.
been pushing the fat back to make it look bigger.
You did it again. You got me in the laughing. Because it's so true. It's funny because it's true, kids.
Remember, I used to think I was straight, so I know the stupid shit men do.
So true. Oh my god. Oh my god. Well,
It
I do think that, I mean, again, if you're willing to destroy a whole civilization in order to stick it to China, that's just immoral. You know, I
Yeah,
mean,
it.
it is. So, I mean, while I'm not a fan of China at all, and, of course, let's make it clear, not really a fan of our government either. But, I guess that's the enemy that I do know, so I feel a little bit more comfortable with them as opposed to China, where I don't know them and I'm kind of like, eh. Just, being honest about my feelings and my motivations here. But yeah, so I'm sure that the MAGA idiots will be out there saying, "Oh, this is brilliant. This is brilliant." Blah blah blah.
Hmm.
While millions of people just died. You know.
Well, they add another layer to the 12D chess. Now he's gone up to 13D chess. Jesus fuck. Come on. It Here is what I would this is Sasha's ideal political landscape, right? We push through to the midterms. We are seeing that Democrats are flipping seats that haven't been Democrat in a long fucking time. Seats that have always been close. We are killing at 7, 10, 12, 15. There was some seat, I think, in Wisconsin that we like won by 35 fucking points. One of Wisconsin's Supreme Court, state Supreme Court seats.
Mm,
Democrats are cleaning up for the midterm. If we can land, and I haven't looked at the numbers. I don't know exactly who's up for reelection and who's not. I know a huge chunk of the House is, so we can easily get a massive majority in the House. The Senate, I haven't looked at those numbers to see how many are up for reelection. If we can get a majority in both of the houses, in Sasha's ideal world, we would have a massive impeachment. And I'm talking la-di-da-di everybody, because through impeachment, you can wipe out an entire cabinet, right? We would wipe out the cabinet. We've seen with Clinton, impeachment took forever. They did this whole big thing, ooh, he cheated with a woman. She was a young woman. There was a power imbalance. I am pro Monica Lewinsky in this, right?
sure.
And that
Me
took
too.
a while. The Republicans wanted to embarrass Clinton more than they wanted to protect Monica. I
Sure.
absolutely believe that. Um, the fastest historical impeachment process was with Trump in 2021. The House got their portion done. They had their articles of impeachment all debated, discussed, written, packaged prettily in 5 days and sent to the House or sent to the Senate. The Senate got through the trial in 7 days. Impeachments don't have to be long, drawn out things. The Constitution gives the House and the Senate the power to write their own rules. How are you going to do this impeachment? So theoretically, if we had a majority in the House and the Senate come November, by December, we could take out the entire cabinet. Then we package the cabinet and hand them over to the international court. Here you go. We arrested these motherfuckers for treason and war crimes. We would like you to punish them so that we can see this on a world fucking level, so that there is worldwide justice against these assholes. That's
Yeah.
Sasha's ideal political world.
Oh, sure. I mean, that would be nice. I will say, my understanding is that not everyone in the cabinet, even including JD Vance, is actually on board with this stuff. In fact, the reason I have heard through the political grapevine that JD Vance is not seen very much anymore is because he doesn't support the Iran war. So, I don't know. I mean, I don't necessarily want to say them all, like, go to jail, because I think there are probably some in there who don't really agree with it, but at the same time, they're complicit because they aren't speaking out
Mm-hmm.
loud enough. So, I don't know, but yeah, it would be nice to see something along those lines. I mean, deep down, do I want to see Trump succeed? Sure, because I want to see the United States succeed, but I want to see him succeed in a way that is aligned with my sense of morality. And everything that he's doing is like off the rails as far as morality is concerned. And I really find it interesting that these evangelical Protestant Christians are so on board with this stuff when they like to scream about morality all the time. And so I'm a little confused as to why he is still even remotely acceptable to them. But, you know, I guess they're hypocrites.
It, oh, yeah. I think that the evangelical pastors are very hypocritical. I think there are many, many conniving evangelical church members who are big donors to their church. So they have say in who's going to do what. You know what I mean? In the church. What's the plans for the church? What are we doing as a church to move forward? Um, I think they're very hypocritical. I
Yeah.
think that the one thing that evangelical pastors have in common is that they are all really good at whipping their congregation into a frenzy. And in that frenzy, they are able to absolutely gaslight. I
Yeah.
think that your average evangelical, maybe she graduated or he graduated high school with a C average, and the majority of their classes were like basic math and wood carving, right? So they're not the most brilliant intellectually. I don't think that they are hypocrites. I think that they are victims of their church. I think they are victims of their pastor. I think that they placed too much naive faith in their church leadership, did what their church leadership said, supported Trump the way that their church leadership said, accepted an interpretation of the Bible that was based on their church leadership, instead of reading the fucking Bible for themselves and seeing that in the Bible it says, read this yourself, make your own interpretations, don't follow false prophets. And they fell for it, hook, line, and sinker, you know? Um,
Well, I mean, I do like to always joke that as a Jew, I probably know more about Christianity than the average Christian.
I don't, I don't doubt it. As an atheist, I know that I know more about the Bible than 90% of Christians. And
I've read the New Testament straight through probably 5 or 6 times in my life.
I would venture to guess that I behave, and likely you behave, more Christian than the majority of Christians in this country.
I think
You know,
that's
it,
I think that that's a fair bet, because the thing is you and I seem to be the type of people who can have our hearts hardened at times, and we were talking
Mhm.
about that with me earlier about some of the stuff with the transgender issue, but at the same time we're willing to own up to, it's like, yeah, there's probably just a lot of just pure hatred going on here, so we kind of let that shit go. And some of these folks that we're talking about just don't seem to have that intellectual honesty within them.
Right. I will be the first to admit that I talk a big game here and on my other social media about, especially lately, about, reformed MAGA members. You know, I want to say, fuck you. You did this. You put my marriage rights at stake. You put my daughter's life at risk when you voted for people that were going to push to overturn Roe. And now half the country is willing to let her die if she happens to be in that state and is pregnant and miscarries. So fuck you. You support a
Yeah.
president who very well might send my son to his death in this fucking war or in whatever war he concocts next. I want to say fuck you and slam the door in their face. Go suffer. Go fucking suffer. But there is a part of me that pushes back and is like, look, Sasha, you need these reformed MAGA folk. You need them to feel comfortable to say, I made a mistake. I was wrong. I listened to a baser level of myself. I gave in to id. I gave in to Trump and I bought his bullshit hook, line, and sinker. I am sorry. What do I do to fix it?
Sure.
And
And
that
it is it
part of
is a
me
process.
knows. Yeah, and that part of me knows I need these people to fix their mistakes so that I can rest easy should my daughter move out of California, which is a safe haven for her. I need to be able to rest easy that should she move out of California and move to some red state because, she wants to buy a house there, there's more room there, whatever, I need to be able to sleep at night knowing that if she gets pregnant in Florida and she miscarries and needs a DNC, which is abortion,
Yes.
to save her life, that she will be able to get that medical care.
Sure.
I need to be able to rest easy in that. And right now I can't. And that's what makes me very angry and very hateful. But I have to be careful and not let myself get too hardened against them.
Well,
At
and
the end of the day, they are still Americans.
they're still Americans, and the thing is, I mean, obviously, I'm among those people. The thing is I think that people like me and the other folks that you're referring to will actually probably end up being a stronger voice against this insanity because we did buy into it. So I think that we have kind of a little bit of an extra perspective that other people who just rejected it right away, we have a little bit more of a perspective. And then if you went as far as I did and got like actually caught up in MAGA politics and that sort of thing, then you really know how truly evil this movement is, and
Mm-hmm.
you can relay that information on to other people. So you can tell the left, okay, yeah, this is a little hyperbole. You probably should knock it off there. But here's what you really need to be focusing because this is what they've got in the works. And and I think that ultimately that will help counter them. So I'm glad that you do have it within you to be able to be somewhat forgiving. Because, I mean, ultimately I do believe that everyone should have the chance to redeem themselves.
Yeah. America is on the cusp right now. I I think that you and people like you who have seen, like, you've been behind the curtain. You have
Yeah.
worked behind the curtain. You helped move those levers behind the curtain.
Yeah.
There will be a window, and I see that window opening relatively soon, next 6 months, maybe a year, where you have the opportunity to either jump into Democrat circles or jump into independent circles if a third party manages to come out of this and kind of steer that ship. This is what the Republicans are saying. It ties to X, Y, and Z that they were saying on this date. This is what they really mean. This is
Hmm.
the ulterior motive. And I think it's with you and people like you that are willing to jump to other parties and kind of give that inside scoop, if you will,
Hmm.
you know, and really I can see that ending the Republican Party as it is today, kind of smashing it down. It needs to be smashed down for 2 or 3 generations until they can kind of get themselves right and then build back.
Right. All I will say is, I mean, don't expect 100% miracles, because, I mean, I certainly have it within my power to destroy the Jackson County Democratic Party. That's our local, not Democratic Party, Republican Party. Destroy our local Republican Party. Um, but that's a lot to take on. And, I'm not so sure that I necessarily want to try to do that because I mean I could expose a lot of shit that went on and would definitely make the citizens of Jackson County say, probably not going to vote for a Republican ever again. So I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to do a little bit of a part. I mean, at least through social media because I do know that several people follow me on there and local people. So I mean, I do hope the word is getting out that hey, this guy that was a Republican politician has like totally fucking flipped, and
Right.
I hope that that helps because I really don't want to play the nasty game. I mean, first of all, I just don't have the energy right now to even bother with that. But I think that if people knew exactly what I saw, that, yeah, in this mostly kind of independent, slightly left-leaning county, no, where we do occasionally elect Republicans, I don't think they'd have a chance if I really opened up.
It I see kind of poised on this cusp of really exploding into another political party. I see MTG as being a possible power player, you know?
Sure.
Grab some independents, grab some libertarians, grab the fringes of the smaller political parties, and I can see her being a real rival, keeping some brand familiarity, like the New Republican Growth or something like that. I don't know.
Hmm.
Republicans for America. Um, because she is coming out swinging hard on
Yeah,
Trump.
she is.
Fucking hard. She went off on Easter and she called everybody out.
Hmm.
I want to see more of that from her. I
Sure.
absolutely want to see more of that from her. Will I ever vote for her? No. But I I would tip my hat. I would never vote for her, but I would tip my hat. You saw the
Sure.
error of your ways, you swallowed your pride, and in front of America, you called it for what it was. And you admitted they hoodwinked you. That's a big deal for a politician to say, especially one like her that has this national recognition,
Sure.
you know?
Absolutely. I mean, there are probably, yeah, I can understand why you'd never vote for Marjorie Taylor Greene because I'm sure that there are still issues that you guys would definitely disagree with.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I will say though that, when I got to know her better, I was sitting there telling people on the left and the right because, a lot of people on the right were even a little standoffish about her sometimes. And I was like, no, she's she's a very principled person, and I think she's someone that you can actually work with, and they're like, oh, but she's this crazy woman on TV and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, get her behind closed doors. It's a totally different situation, you know?
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, I give Marjorie Taylor Greene mad props for her calling out the bullshit, for sure. I'm trying to call out the bullshit. So, yeah, you've got these former Republicans, and I would just definitely appeal to those on the left to, be open to what they have to say. Because, I mean, chances are they're going to be critical of some of your beliefs too, you know.
Right.
Um, so, I mean, either take it with a grain of salt or maybe use it as an opportunity to analyze, maybe they have a point, whatever the case may be. And but definitely kind of, welcome them into the fold, so to speak, because I mean these are people who have opened their eyes, saw the bullshit for what it is, and then they are sitting there saying that. I mean, it does take a lot because I have, by doing what I've done, most of the left leaning friends that I had in the past hate my guts. Now all the right leaning people that, knew me, a lot of them hate my guts. It's a lot because you basically become a
Hmm.
social outcast at that point.
It. I will say this: I don't hate your guts, and I don't. I don't hate your guts because outside of this podcast, I think you and I have had some pretty heated debates, and
Sure.
we've gone back and forth with each other. You know, I don't really want to say throwing punches, but
Yeah.
here's proof for this. Well, here's proof for this. We've gone round for round with each other, and each of us is willing to hear the other out. And
Sure.
that's what keeps me from saying, well, you're no, just no, you know, because you're willing to hear what I have to say. I'm willing to hear what you have to say. And we can keep having these talks over and over and over.
Sure.
And I think that's what the rest of America needs to do. Because at the end of this 4 years, unless we have a civil war, your neighbor is still going to be your neighbor. If you
Sure.
can't have these talks, and I'm not saying one side or the other is wrong, there are some people on the left who are not willing to have these talks. There are people on the right who are not willing to have these talks.
Sure.
But like I said, the reformed MAGAs are going to have somewhere to go, and if Marjorie Taylor Greene does not start some kind of new political party or manage to join together independents and libertarians so that they have the numbers needed to be true challengers, I don't want to disenfranchise them either, you know?
No, no, we definitely shouldn't be doing that. I mean, it's a new perspective that you're bringing in, and I think that that is healthy for everyone. I mean, as long as everyone's acting in good faith, willing to
Mhm.
listen to each other, that sort of thing, then there's no reason we can't be friends. But the thing that is the scariest, uh, I'm thinking for a lot of these people who are still caught up in the MAGA stuff is the fear of isolation
Yeah.
after they turn. Because it is ultimately like leaving a freaking cult. You've lost everything.
Yes.
You've lost everything.
Yes.
And I have lost everything. I have like this many friends, you know? And so it is a risk, but I do want to put out there to the audience, you know, if you find yourself in the situation that I'm in, just ask yourself, can you live with yourself at night, continuing down the path that you're in? If you answer no, take that risk. Take it.
Yeah. You know, I truly believe, because I have good friends and family that went full MAGA, and I have light colored skin, but my family does not.
Right.
And they went full MAGA. They're my family. I'm not going to disown them. I am going to hold them at an arm's distance.
Sure.
Right now, when you are fully involved in that cult, you are toxic. And I don't want that toxicity around me. I love you. I love you so much. I have to protect my peace. When
Sure.
you wake up, I am here. When you wake up, when you realize that you were wrong and that you hurt people bad, I'll still love you.
Well, that's
And I
good.
think that's what a lot of the left needs to realize. Yeah, you probably shut some doors on your MAGA family because in the moment they were toxic. What they wanted was threatening to your way of life. When they have changed, you still need to love them so that they don't feel ostracized. Because it's those that are ostracized that do some really bad shit.
Yeah, for sure.
So, on that serious goodbye from
Yeah,
Political
I know.
Malpractice,
I know, but I kind of
we got a
liked
little.
it. It was good. It was good.
You and I always tend to get like deep and vulnerable lately. At the end of our time, we've gotten quite deep and vulnerable lately.
It's the only way I can do things right now. I just have to
Yeah,
lay it all out on the line. I do.
yeah, and I think it's good for our listeners. You know, I am a hard-hearted bitch for the first 3/4 of our podcast. And at the end I show a softer side.
There you go.
So,
There you go. There's nothing wrong with that.
any goodbye messages for our listeners?
I haven't been super active on social media lately. I plan on kind of amping up a little bit. I did basically tell all the right-wing gays if they're voting Republican that they are now no longer my friend. I consider them enemy. So that was my last inflammatory post. So I haven't really checked in on it because I don't know, whatever. It's like I need to think positively right now, but I did want to put that out there. But if you want to see more of that insanity and the process of me leaving the right, follow me at Midwest Homo 77 on X.
Awesome, guys. Give us a follow here on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you're listening to us. I know we're on several different podcast platforms, and we are all over social media. So we're on Blue Sky, Substack, X, Threads, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and I'm trying to get on Neptune, which is a response to TikTok. It's a creator's pushback against TikTok. So I'm waiting for our invite code. As soon as I get our invite code to Neptune, we'll be on Neptune as well. But that is all from us here at Political Malpractice, guys. Be safe this week. I will see you Sunday with Leela for our midweek, beginning week. I don't know what you want to call it, for our second episode. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
If you want a second opinion or just something to rage about, hit that button and subscribe. This has been Political Malpractice.